reset. Sandy's a rampage that's going to be cleaner for the Wizards. Oh, that's just pure damage. The knockout, here goes the mountain of slowness. And the Rengar is there for the cleanup.
Yeah, gonna be the fight, ladies and gents. Keepers, Birdie gets used. Ito naman ginamit din.
There is the arm of deception. Holy!
Welcome back, ladies and gents, as we head into Game 3 for what is the Mindanao Conference Finals of the Garena LOL Collegiate League 2017 Summer Term powered by Lenovo Challenge. What you know, of course, before we get into the action, we'll be introducing ourselves, Arctic at Reserves fam. Of course, with me is Atlas, and man, 1-1 tied right now between Xavier University and Ateneo de Davao University. Kind of interested in seeing who will kind of pull off.
Yeah. I think one big reason why this is just a 1-1 right now is that both teams have been making serious mistakes in how they apply their team compositions here. And just one mistake can mean the end of the game, as we saw earlier. Let's see if her players here will learn something from last game. Here comes Xavier University banning out the Oriana and the Karma. So much utility taken away from ADDU, also banning away. As for ADDU, they still don't want any of that engaged nor follow-up. That Galio for the first game was definitely something that they do not want to happen again. So they are banning that out, especially with Xavier University having priority on the first pick. And they seem to be wanting to go for the Renekton here.
Interesting hover over for if they do go for the lock-in on this. I mean, Renekton, I don't think he's normally a champion you'd see worthy of first pick priority.
Yeah, definitely not, because he's quite easy to find counters for. Like if you have a top lane and you first pick the Renekton, you can just easily form a top lane that can be strong. A jungle top lane combination that can be very strong against that. So let's see ADDU going for the Gragas and the Cho'Gath here. Definitely going to be top Cho'Gath and jungle Gragas. Yep. So we'll be seeing how that fares out. And here's one of the examples. Definitely, Veritas has a lot of potential to shut down Gosu on that Cho'Gath. However, Cho'Gath gets behind and is not able to be safe enough in lane to build up those stacks and have that sustain. It's going to be very difficult for him to stop when Veritas roams. With as for XU already locking in their bot lane here with the Kog'Maw and Lulu. So very potent combination here. But however, we are playing in that patch of League where Ardent Sensor is not as viable of a rush. But however, ADDU responding in kind with their own bot lane here will be Soraka and Zaya, another Ardent Sensor lane. As for the second rotation of bans, still banning out against Carle and Kitanda. ADDU still banning out against Kang. Now also banning out again, ADDU banning out against Liberabit, and also right now banning against Monsieur AJ.
But I'd love to see this Annie pick because this is one of the champions that Monsieur AJ has used in the Mindanao Conference. Too much efficiency. I mean, it's interesting kasi you think that Annie is a very basic champion, pero she still has her merits if played very effectively.
Yeah, the reason why she's so strong, she can be so strong, is because she's very simple. She has one job, which is to make everyone explode, and that's basically it. But this is a very strange composition I'm seeing for this Game 3. Hey, we've got Rengar, that don't see that much. Annie as well, on the other side of the table as well. There's so much happening. We're going to have to see how all of these just synergize together once the game actually starts. But coming to this finals, this is the third game. Whoever gets this game is at match point. Their next game, they will have the momentum going into the fourth game. So this is, I think, one of the important parts of this best of 5. If you're in a 1-1, you want to get the momentum during the third game.
I'm pleasantly surprised by the Rengar pick, actually, because when you're thinking about the Kog'Maw, you thinking of as much as possible, you want to have as much of people that could keep the enemies away. So I was thinking that, which is why the Zac ban was actually quite plausible. But to see a Rengar, like I was thinking maybe they'd go for something on more of the tankier side.
Tankier side of the spectrum. However, I guess you could think of it like, hey, killing the enemy means they stay away from my carry. But we're going to see, because it seems like even though they have this Kog'Maw that obviously wants a lot of protection, I see a lot of pick-off potential here with Annie flashing in with the Tibbers. as well as with a follow-up from the Renekton as well. It can be quite potent if they get caught off guard by that kind of composition. Because if the Rengar jumping on you, the Renekton jumping on you, so there's that little bit of synergy in that. And we're still going to have to see. Still, ADDU going for something with quite a bit of safety here. So much healing as well as Isaiah with this one. But of course, let's get into it. Savior Wizards on blue, Passage on the red side. It's 1-1 so far for this finals for the Mindanao Conference. Let's get into it. A little bit of a scuffle there, conflict around their bot side river, but of course, nothing much coming out of it. No vision as well, except for the entrances of the jungle of ADDU to make sure that nothing fishy happens once again. That's a nice chroma on Liberabit on that Rengar there, red and black.
Not just that, I mean, I really like the new skin on Annie. And that recall, if you notice, if I'm not mistaken, that was actually Shyvana's head for
that was
Super
like
Galaxy.
Tiber's head, right?
Tiber's head. Oh, it was. Okay.
But anyway, so far, both of these junglers seem to be starting around bot side here. They wanted to make a play somewhere around mid or top side here, judging from their pathing. It's going to be very potent if Veritas gets a lead over Gosu, because that's going to be very terrible for Cho'Gath. You're not level 6 yet, you're already pressured, so you can't get your stacks up. And once you're already in a position to get your stacks up, then Veritas just keeps burning through that health, that bonus health, with his lead. So it's got to be very careful here, and Kang, I think, needs to be relevant here in this matchup.
Indeed, especially since this is a Gragas that he's running. When you're running a Gragas, there's so much impact that you could bring into the lanes across the board for the ADDU University. For Savior University, it's a little bit different when you're running a Rengar, because he doesn't have that level of CC that he has in comparison to a Grog. Looking at Veritas, forced to chunk right away.
Yeah, definitely level 1, there is that power coming from it. It's just avoid void spikes as well. So that is going to be just the matchup for now. Level 2 and level 3, Veritas should be able to recover from that early insignificant lead that Gosu has so far. But Liberabit trying to make a move on the top side, establishing a little bit of control and vision over that top side. Make sure that Kang does not have a lot of freedom for what's happening.
Ooh, Liberabit spotting out Kang. He gets it slow.
He gets the snare. Not a lot, except scaring away. So now Liberabit, if he wants to go top side, he has the priority. He can also go for an invade here. He knows that Kang has all finished his red buff because he saw, but now he's also under a ward. And those pings come Savior University. Wow, Kang does not get phased at all.
It's on the first blood though going to Liberabit. I was not expecting that. If anything, that was almost mission impossible in my opinion, almost I thought, because they did spot Liberabit, although...
Yeah, that was slick. I think Kang was really confident in Kitanda's ability to support him there, just waiting in the wings for Liberabit to jump on him, but instead Liberabit's the one that gets the kill, flashes the charm very beautifully, gets the kill, and gets out.
I think Kang wasn't really anticipating Liberabit to go for him, because he was probably thinking that Liberabit, having gone into the jungle of ADDU University, was probably just going to try to deny. But look at this, Admajorum taking so much damage, gets exhausted, forced to flash away along with Vash, but Ignite does its work. Voss gets the kill.
Minions down there bot lane, those caster minions, you see those projectiles from those little wizards chasing after you. You've got to be scared, but here comes Veritas. Still way ahead in terms of CS, because Gosu did go to the mid lane to try and help out Kitanda. But right now, that sustain come from his passive is helping him out. Veritas is forced into a neutral position, which is not something you usually like on a Renekton.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's still going to be pushed in by that Renekton, because the Renekton does have consistent and monolith wave clear.
From what we're seeing right now, Savior University definitely up on a great start, 2-0. But one of the worries that I have for Savior University is that it's been established. Early game, they really know how to maneuver across this map, play their lanes really well. But when it comes down to the mid game, that's where things get really tricky, because Savior University, somehow they kind of miss out on what their composition's win conditions are, and that's where they kind of scatter a bit. So I'm hoping this is not the same trend that we're going to see here going into Game 2, because Game 2, that's exactly what happened to them, and it just allowed ADDU University to have that advantage. It looks like Veritas and Gosu trading it off here right now, dodges the knockup. Looks like Veritas is going to try to go for the last hit. Still dangerous, though, as Gosu escapes under turn.
Doesn't have a lot of deep vision to know where Kang is. So right now, I think he is in a position to dive this, however. He just has to dodge the rupture here, Because right now, Gosu is not level 6 yet, so there's no chance of him suddenly reaching level 6 and then chomping him down.
And things here towards the bot side, though. ADDU, take note, is up a wave right now due to the death that Vath concurred earlier. And man, this is definitely across the board looking good for Save University.
Yeah.
Even up towards top lane in what you usually might have been a deficiency for Veritas earlier, but now that he is at level 6, we'll be able
look at that.
to contend
He's been
with
bullying
Gosu
Gosu out. Even though Gosu has a lot of sustain and can chunk down Veritas, it's still Veritas who has the more consistent sustain as well as the ability to push him into turret, which causes this 3-wave discrepancy between the Cho'Gath and the Renekton. So far, Savior University Wizards really establishing a soft early lead here. Let's see if Liberabit makes any more plays, because this Rengar wants more kills. Right now, he's level 4. Once he reaches level 6, he's going to be very, very potent, and everyone in ADDU has to be more careful.
Kitanda trying to clear out this wave right here. Monsieur AJ definitely has an easier time when it comes to farming with this Annie because of, you know, just those simple last hits with the Q. Easily get that mana back. Deals a great chunk of damage when trying to last hit those minions. So very chill for Monsieur AJ. And talking about this Annie, by the way, Chisto FI and I have been talking about how Monsieur AJ, he's been using champions that are more player-friendly, I'd say, regardless of whether you're new to the game or not as mechanically gifted. Like, he did use the Malzahar earlier, now it's the
but mechanically simple. You don't need to do a lot of fancy finger work for that.
Exactly.
So just press a few buttons. It's very efficient, actually. And interesting pickup for Bath here. Trying to compensate for the big deficiency that he got because of death. Going for the cull here, but as you can see, he's not doing much in terms of combat stats, but Kang might be here to remedy all of that. No snare coming Blade Caller. Varus cancels his to save some time. But yeah, that's the manifestation here of the Majorum as he has a provoke. And this Bath trade is always going to be in favor of Ad Majorum.
Just quick notice right here that I noticed for Savior University. Their support earlier was actually low, so it's like they did sub in for Voss right now. So overall, though, I gotta say it's definitely working. I like how these trades are going on between both the Kog'Maw and the Lulu, as well as the Saya and Soraka.
Yeah.
Because in the midst of trades, Voss, great timing on those shields that whenever Vath tries to trade out, immediately absorbed by the shield coming in from the Lulu.
Yeah, the
so
biggest thing also is then the Blade Caller happens. The shield timing for that should be very, very crucial. And because you're going to be blocking out a lot of damage coming from Vath here. And like I said, the Cull is just not doing Vath too much good here. If he had bought another, like, an item to compensate in terms of combat stats, he might have been able to use the sustain from Carlet and trade it out a little bit better. But here the Cull, I don't completely agree with it. Actually, Cull, I think, is an item you get when you're already way ahead. But for this one, seems like he's trying to use it to compensate for the loss earlier, but now he's only half full in terms of charging it up.
There's kind of this mentality that when you have that call, in your mindset as an AD carry, you want to think that you want to try less hit as much as you want to try to take it easier, because you want to try to that call all the way down to 0 stacks right away so that you benefit from 300 gold. So I think Vath realizing that he can't really go toe-to-toe with Ad Majorum and as well as Voss because of, I mean, it's pretty much evident in the way they've traded earlier. So just playing it a little bit.
Veritas and Liberabit.
Ooh, is Liberabit going to
Up
try
on
something
Gosu here.
Sneaky, sneaky indeed. Veritas, Ray's
a throw
dominance
behind.
is up. Gonna go sneaky, sneaky in. And that's gonna be the jump, and Liberabit gets the kill.
The prayer won't help him right there with healing.
Ooh, is within the vicinity, gets a body slam in onto Veritas, but looks like we'll be able to escape. Kitanda now gonna go for the charm, and looks like Veritas might be a casualty in this case, and down he goes.
Down he goes indeed. That's the first kill of ADDU on Kitanda here, and Kitanda would really appreciate that kill. Definitely being the Ahri, you want to be more relevant by having more gold, being able to kill much faster, burst down the carries. And that actually, I think that's pretty worth it for ADDU. A 1-for-1 trade, kill Veritas, who got an assist from that, however. The assist isn't as valuable, of course, as a kill, especially on a Renekton who wants to also snowball. So I think that in the end, Liberabit needs to continue pushing this kind of lead. He's 2-0. and needs to continue like pushing it out.
At the same time, Xavier University needs to look out for Chitanda here. We have seen Ari will be able to move a bit though. And without the support of his, no pun intended, like Boss might be securing the kill here. Goes for the dash and heal. Coming in from Carly just in the nick of time. Looks like Knight might do its word. 1-for-1 trade.
In favor of ADDU because their Vath got the kill onto Admiorum. And like Chisto said in the first game, that the placement, your positioning while fighting against a Xayah is important because you don't want to get caught in the surprising damage of that Blade Caller. There, Admiorum steps under the trap, and Vath gets the kill right there. But I think that in this bot lane between Xavier University and ADDU, they weren't able to punish the cull purchase from Vath enough because Admiorum already had a recurve bow, was building up into a pickaxe there. They would have been able to position more aggressively if Liberabit was assisting them in that bot lane, but because Vath actually was able to survive after that initial death with the cull and is able to get the BF sword here, that lead is essentially, that means the cull is essentially valuable now, is actually a good pickup now because of what has transpired in that bot lane and how there was no punish for the cull purchase. Here comes Liberabit.
Gets into the knock-up win. Will be going down these night. Rest in peace. Exhaust coming in, but looks like Monsieur AJ with the threat of his presence. Liberabit lives another day.
Saves the cat. Cat has 9 lives here, but do you see that animation of Liberabit, of Rangar running? It was bugged, but looks funny. But here comes Gosu against Veritas here. Gosu does have the ultimate, so Veritas cannot be too complacent diving this Cho'Gath.
He has to be very careful. Nom nom nom. Is Gosu going to
no
get
flash.
that juicy bite out of that alligator walking out crocodile? And not enough though, but still, just that one auto attack doesn't get that stack though.
Yeah, that's very sad for Veritas. This puts ADDU's top lane now in a position to continue surviving and thriving against this Renekton. Renekton with 2 deaths, 0, 2, and 1. Not the best situation. And that was quite overconfident coming from Veritas. He should have respected the burst true damage that can come from Gosu's Cho'Gath there, especially when he tried diving, took a turret shot. That is going to set you up for the nom nom nom, indeed.
Lots of pressure. I'm really liking the proactivity coming in from Kang right now. Across the board here was towards, but looks like a little bit of a trade here. Let's go ahead and see how things are going. Gets stunned on Admiorum, so quite the substantial damage now.
Yeah.
That Vath can kind of go
down
head
Carlay
to toe
too, because he needs to pay health to heal Vath. It's going to be more dangerous for him to stay around, especially with Admiorum hunting him down with his ultimate.
Okay, looks like nobody going to be responding to this turret. This might potentially be a take. Not quite yet, though, as it seems, but almost.
There's no pressure for them to really take it, because so far, ADDU has not made any major moves against any turrets, and all of its XU's turrets are pretty healthy still. They're not too pressured to get first turret ASAP, but look at that. Having to burn the Feather Storm with Admiorum just chasing after you with his skills.
Man, absolutely insane. I gotta hand it to Admiorum. Definitely one of the more efficient AD carries that I've seen across the Mindanao Conference, and it's really been showing, I think, across the board. All 3 games, he's had a great showing, regardless, but Admiorum really getting the poke on after that. It looks like there's going to be a fight here. Veritas getting the kill onto Kang. They're going to be chasing Gosu. Will Monsieur AJ get that stun, though? At the same time, Gitanda getting the kill onto Libera towards the Dragon Pit, but Monsieur AJ in exchange gets the kill onto Gosu. Much more value as it ends in a 1-for-2 in favor of XC.
I'm not sure why Liberabit was there on the Cloud Drake. Because you have to consider your bot lane is aggressively fighting. That's going to pull attention from either the mid lane or the jungler. And there it was Kitanda. So he was caught between the Dragon Pit without a way to escape. And Kitanda, who was right there and caught him red-handed. Definitely not a call I really agree with. And this actually puts ADDU in a position to push this turret. And actually they might get this bot lane turret before XU gets theirs. Precisely because Liberabit gave kill there in the Dragon Pit. It seems like here they are positioned very well with the Thrill.
Actually, no pursuit can happen though, as Voss and Admiorum are kind of lacking as far as the mana spectrum here.
Oh dear, that's Kitanda trying to go for a play there, but Voss just flashes it away. The turret is still under siege. Kitanda taking a little bit of damage here. Voss, no mana. Will have to be very, very careful with how he moves around his bot lane.
It looks like, for the meantime, Ateneo Davao University may potentially back away from the meantime. Veritas is within the vicinity. Here. Is he going to pursue, though? Has to be careful, though.
I think that's going to be a mistake. I think for now, they just have to push this turret down And because they have successfully defended their own, they are now in a position to counterattack in this bot lane turret. Maybe even get his Cloud Ray.
All 5 members are converging there right now, and you don't really have to worry about topside being taken down just yet, because that tower looking pretty healthy, and Gosu himself, not really the best siege person as far as running this Cho'Gath here.
I think that's just going to be the wave clear, getting the here to damage the actual turret. Not going to be substantial coming from that Cho'Gath. We should have enough time for Ad Majorum and Voss here to go to the top side. Actually, going for the lane swap before the turrets have switched out, predicting that, rather banking that Monsieur AJ is able to get this bot lane in time. Kang thinks Veritas is alone, but surprise!
Oh man, Veritas coming in for both Monsieur AJ and Veritas. You're not to chase on. Heading the healy, I don't think this will be enough though. Liberarbit is in the vicinity. Soraka might be the next casualty here, but no, forced to flash away for safety.
Very sneaky there come from XU. They know that, okay, there's the top lane. They have done the lane swap already, and so this this Veritas is gonna be alone. But then suddenly, Monsieur AJ right around the corner bamboozles Kang, cost him his life.
Bamboozled indeed. 7 and 4 on the scoreboard. Somewhat in favor of Xavier University right now. There's definitely great momentum coming in from them. So far, what we've been seeing, their place and dictating this game thus far. But still, ADDU University try to fight him themselves. Ad Majorum and Voss. Look at this thing. This second towards top though. Monsieur AJ gets caught out though by that ward. Just that one more to kill for Kitana. But looks like and Ad Majorum will not heck Ad Majorum got the damage, but gets taken down. Nom for Gosu. Kang gonna try to give chase here to Voss. I don't think he'll be able to survive though. Doesn't get slowed down, but looks like that will be survival.
Kitana with a timing on the very back end of that ward's timer. Making actually either that was good acting from Kitanda, so okay, I don't see you, and then suddenly going for the charm. Oops. Or that was just Kitanda being surprised. Oh, there's a ward there that detects Monsieur AJ and then takes him out. And either way, it's a pretty small loss for XU there. It does stop the top lane siege, but so far ADDU has not gotten something in return. They're actually ahead in gold right now, 1,000. It shouldn't be too substantial at around 18 minutes in the game. But that's actually bad for XU.
This is what I'm worried about here for Xavier University. As I've said earlier, definitely have a great early game, but going into this mid game, I question their decision making at times because, again, such as that configuration earlier, wherein both Voss and Ad Majorum, they were so extended into the top side of Ateneo de Davao University, and I think part of it was because they felt that there was comfort in Ad Majorum, or rather Monsieur AJ being within the vicinity. But because he was spotted out by that ward, was easily taken down, and that was just Adu collapsing onto whatever they can. And they did get Ad Majorum as well, so that's something that they have to look out for.
And this being quite even is actually very bad for this composition that XU has drafted. They have the Renekton, they have the Rengar, they have an Annie as well, and while they can function, Annie can function without a lot of gold, there's definitely the lack of threat there if there's no other damage to follow up. If it's just Ad Majorum, then that can be easily dealt with. That's what Kitanda is for, that's what Gosu is possibly for as well, is just take out Ad Majorum, make him a non-factor during the game, during the team fights, and because Liberarbit and Veritas are not quite as fed as they would want to be, they could take uses to their advantage because of the equal gold.
Look how thick though. Baron is coming up, unfortunately. Xavier University not quite timing that right though. As we do hit that 20-minute mark now, Baron is up. Looks like Monster Agent going to try to fend this off for the meantime. Won't be able to do so successfully, but take note, Ateneo de Davao University's members slowly making their way towards this mid lane. Are we going to be seeing a team fight? That's something we'll have to see transpire within the next few seconds.
Just 2 members so far. Is going to be Liberarbit right around the corner, but in terms of this push, it's going to be 4 members against 3. Ad Majorum going to be coming into here. Monsieur AI.
Looks like Monsieur AJ caught between all the members of Ateneo de Davao University. Take note of that. Did take quite the damage though. Ad Majorum exchange going to get the kill on the count. Liberarbit going in onto the members of Ateneo de Davao University, but it's Voss that actually gets stunned. Misses out, flashes away from the charm. That'll be a 1-for-1 for the meantime. Mid-core jungler.
1-for-1 there. Monsieur AJ falls to the ganking of Kang, but of course the tower dive went awry for ADDU. One of them fell. Kang did indeed, and I think Liberarbit should have gone for someone else, even though Voth was really low in health. He knew that he still had the Featherstorm, so he should have just gone for someone else. Maybe could have bursted down Kitanda or Carlay there.
Yeah, 8 and 7 right now. But very much equal, I'd say. But as you mentioned, what I kind of worry about later on is that the only person that could really do, like, that really has substance in the late game for Xavier University is Admiorm on this Kog'Maw. The rest, not quite as up to par
Voss
as
is going to just be an enabler here.
Indeed.
And the same is going to go for Mazir AJ. Either he's going to burst them down, but since there's the Banshee's Veil, there's a lot of healing as well for coming from Carlay. As well as the general tankiness that Gosu and Kang will have. I think it's just going to be a stun bot with a little bit of damage coming into late game. And Admiorm, their main source of damage. And they're going to have to back on that.
Indeed. And
it's quite dangerous.
You're going to look at, I think, would be able to really go full assassination into that late game. Even though he does reach a certain combat line, might attempt to go on to Ash and Carly. I think what he'll bait is more of a distraction, wherein at the ADDU University, he might have to go for a turn to deal with Liberbit first before going on to
let Admiorm do his job as well. There's going to be an Earth Break, Mountain Break for ADDU. No contest coming from XU for this one. Way too risky to go for that.
This is going to be another turret pushed in from Xavier University. Take note, even with all said and done, we've been seeing a lot of action coming in from Xavier University, but only one turret taken.
Oh dear, here comes Voss. Ooh, clean.
Oh, no,
that's not clean.
That was crazy. 3 members converging really hard, and this may result to another turret for Xavier University with the bot side.
That escape was almost clean, but Mazir was not having it. So this puts XU in a little bit of a position to get even more advantages here. If they can get this bot side turret, or at least chunk it down, they can threaten ADDU even more and have actually a gold lead. Dibber is right here to tank for them, but Kitanda also right around the corner. Might be too dangerous to force it if it puts Admiorm in a disadvantageous position. The charm.
Kagma's going to try something, though. Doesn't quite connect onto anybody, though, and he actually ends up as a casualty himself. Dibber's going to tank out that turret. Teleport coming in from Gosu. Veritas escaping to safety for the meantime, but Voss actually gets knocked up. Will be going down to Kitanda, and still Xavier University focusing fire onto Gosu right here, though. Looks like he'll be backing away just a bit for the meantime. Still very, very healthy health bars on both Voss and Kitanda, respectively.
Overall, it's going to be a successful defense from ADDU. Could have gone a lot smoother, though, because if you review how that team fight happened, I think Kitanda charming Admiorm meant that Kang missed. Oh dear.
Man, Monsieur AJ.
Yep.
Okay, I was a bit worried there that he might miss out. But of course, luckily, due to the... That's the great thing about Tibbers with the new mechanic that he has with the Enrage. Just right where he spawns, he gets that additional within the first few
seconds. A lot
of
damage as well. And that keeps happening to ADDU. And I think this is in part because their vision in their own jungle is quite lacking.
Ooh,
actually, most of their wards are around the riverside when they should have a little bit more of the defensive wards. So let's see what happens here as we review everything. Of course, the jungler, the main CC tank, it gets zoned away a little bit, which allows Admiorm to go for a lot. But yeah, because of the charm, Admiorm was not hit by the explosive cast. But here, Vet goes for something. Voss gets put in a very vulnerable position here. It's a very messy fight. It's a 1-for-1, but in the end, it's very, very messy. I think ADDU could have gotten something even bigger if the explosive cast was aimed correctly to put Admiorm back into the third range.
It was flat out in the middle of Xavier University, like directly in the middle, where it didn't even hit anybody because of how dispersed they were at the time. But with all said and done, 11-8 right now, still Xavier University starting to build up a little bit more momentum. Definitely an advantage that they were able to take down that inner turret, but at the same time, Charm connecting on to Monsieur AJ gets like Khan, not done just yet, gonna try to go for Voss. No good follow-up though, but still that is quite valuable.
This could put them in a position to go for Baron. We see pings onto that pit here. It's either going to be a Baron or somewhat of a bait. They could just be going onto Voss. But it seems like the turret will be their priority for now before going for anything else.
Banshees is down for right now. Damage going on to that right now. Kitanda in the front line trying to go for Voss. Looks like Admiorm going to try to give chase, though they do get slowed down. Looks like no forward push. For the meantime, this Veritas going to try something though. Actually coming, Libera bit gets root expected, but looks like Veritas going to try to back away right now. ADDU will try to back away as well.
Dear.
Misses out on Kitanda, trying to kite around. Might actually get the shutdown indeed, but caught between. Gets taken down by Gosu in the end.
That's really what's hard about Liberabit here, is that you can't really go for an assassination against Vok because of the defense. The Blade Storm, or the Feather Storm, is just way too good for him. Just gets him out of dodge very quickly. There we saw Liberabit only good there to actually bait out the summoners and the ultimates coming from ADDU. Other than that, the Rengar isn't dealing too much assassination damage.
The tricky part right there was that Monsieur AJ was not in that fight. Had he been there, had he not been taken down earlier on, that fight would have gone totally differently. Liberabit doing his job there, I'd say, as far as being that distraction in the line. The problem is because Monsieur AJ wasn't there wasn't as much of a solid follow-up.
Should really be more careful, and was your AJ, even with the Moby boots, you know, to be a lot faster. Let's actually review what happened there. Liberabit tries to go for anyone, actually, but there's actually no damage whatsoever. ADDU is able to get a little bit of... He can't actually attack because he no longer has a front line here. His teammates just leave him in a very vulnerable position here. He's able to kite out Kitanda with his Bio Arcane Barrage, as well as his other spells. However, there's no running from Gosu and his obvious club.
ADDU actually goes down earlier on. Monsieur AJ trying to run this out, gets silenced, gets knocked up, but here comes Liberabit trying to go for the backline, going onto Carly, but no, isn't able to take him down just yet. That getting the kill onto Liberabit. That's going to be 3 key members of Xavier University going down.
This is going to be a Baron
right
for ADDU. What was XU doing there? They weren't on the same page. Liberabit was doing the Drake solo, but then ADDU was already on the rest of his team. That's either it can't be a lapse of vision because they do have some wards around that side where ADDU attacked from. So it might have just been that they weren't on the same page. They weren't expecting ADDU to go in hard on them. Or I need to see a replay of that. But Baron Nashor gets taken down by ADDU on all 5 members. They're gonna recall and reboot this siege into the mid lane. Let's see the replay here. So all the while, Veritas was the one jumping in response to Kitanda, which is still essentially a 4v5. Man, there's really not much else to say here other than you traded, Liberabit traded the Cloud Drake for 3 kills on the enemy team as well as the Baron buff. Because I think his presence was really needed there to threaten out and make sure that ADDU could not push their advantage. And I think XU shouldn't have jumped in onto Kitanda because they were still 4v5 during that. They were not positioned to actually strike back against ADDU.
Bottom line here is that Xavier University can't afford to fight when they're incomplete in these full-on team fights here. But he's really backing away, but here comes Khan as well. Are they going to go for further pursuit? No, not just yet. Sloss as well going to be supporting the top laner for Xavier University. But this is quite the push coming in right now. Baron Empowered Wave coming in from both Kitanda as well as Kong.
This is just a war on 2 fronts for Xavier University. They might try to go for a move on someone. Explosive Cast has been burned. But other than that, it seems like ADDU is still poised. They have actually grown their gold lead to around 4,000. This is really bad for Rengar and Renekton, because right now they're nothing more than Rengar is going to be just a distraction, while Veritas is just going to be a big ball of HP and stuns with his Ruthless Predator. And while the rest of ADDU's composition is still becoming more and more effective, ADDU needs to carry here, but it's so hard when the rest of his team isn't performing.
It's kind of flashing away 2 members of Xavier University converging onto him, and Veritas securing the kill.
And I think Liberabit and Veritas heard me there. It's like, hey, I'll show this guy. We're relevant. But in the end, is XU gonna get something from that pickoff on Kitanda?
That's the tricky part, though. Still, Baron Empowered Wave, so all he could do still, regardless, is just continue to fend off these waves from pushing in. Looks like Veritas gonna try to go for something and shove this wave to the T. Will be going for the recall though, and Gosu almost would have been scary.
But so far, XU is surviving the Baron buff against ADDU. ADDU haven't done anything too proactive with their purple here with Baron. Seems so far they want to poise to get that top lane turret, but so far they don't really have the position for it right now. They're establishing vision to make sure they don't get caught off guard. But ADDU is just also clearing these waves very, very quickly.
Indeed, 30 even, but doesn't matter right now from what we're seeing here. Xavier University it's somewhat reminiscent of what happened during Game 2, wherein they missed out on their moments of
What a
opportunity
damage, though.
to take advantage of, basically take advantage of what advantages that they have with their team composition, because they definitely have a lot of power, I'd say, a decent power in the early and mid game. It's just that when you go in later into this game, it gets more trickier to execute this composition. In a way, you have to play your team fights almost perfectly for it to work. Like we mentioned, there has to be that element where Libera serves as distraction in the line. Monster AJ tries to get that hold while ADDU deals as much damage as he can, because as far as what we're seeing here, the damage that Libera, Veritas, everyone else except for ADDU could deal onto the rest of ADDU might not be as relevant as it was during the early mid game.
And the only way Libera and someone is left unawares and off guard, and it's so hard to do that against an Ari. Might start off the fight here. This could be bad for ADDU.
Right, Libera trying to look for a target there. All members of ADDU University grip together. Katanda getting the kill onto Libera. Look like ADDU, look at that. This free hitting. And this will be two members of ADDU University down. Make that three. Gragas and Ari, the only surviving members. This might be the shove in. A 1-for-3 in favor of Xavier University.
All right, Xavier University finds an opening in ADDU's defense and goes for it, because they're right in that corner there. They weren't quite at a defensive disadvantage because of the positioning, and that allowed XU, ADDU to just continue free hitting, allowed Veritas and Libera to do their jobs, and Voss as well. Able to just get out of that damage for ADDU. Let's check the replay for this one. Let's see how this all transpired. They overcommit onto Voss. Charm missed, everything else, and that gives him a good ultimate onto Voth Kitanda. Force out the Featherstorm, so now Libera can actually deal his damage, force Voth out. And since ADDU is just free hitting around, this gives them the great opportunity to take 3 kills and maybe some mid lane turrets.
It's actually funny, because if you're gonna look at how this team fight went, if you're gonna notice, at the ADDU University, when they saw that redemption, they started converging together. But if you think about it, that's exactly what Xavier University wants. So it's actually the redemption actually worked against their favor.
Once again.
Ooh, not coming in from Ross, though. I don't think he'll be able to survive this. Those are a lot of hungry members. Oh, actually does survive. Wow.
I'm actually speechless how they weren't able to finish him off. But then again, after that Morellonomicon, he has been building a little bit on the healthier side. There's the Rylai's. There's also the Seeker's Arm Guard right there. And the Banshees. So he's actually able to survive pretty well against the mostly magic damage composition that ADDU has. Vath is the only physical damage source that we really have right now. So there, I think it's plausible that he could have survived because of Voss's health. So that was very scary for Xavier, because if Mazur AJ is gone, that means there's no like real initiation coming from XU.
That's how Xavier University should continue to play out those team fights in their favor. In a way, in order for
let's see how fast they are taking it a little bit faster. But X is on the assault here. They know what's up. But it seems like Tanda.
Veritas going in onto Carly, but you have to take note onto your AJ again. The free hits are real. Nobody dealing with him. Libera gets a double kill. That's 3 members to make that 4 members of ADDU University going down, and that will be the call for Xavier University to take the Baron for themselves. Carly, the only surviving member of ADDU.
What happened there?
I'm not quite sure myself.
Kitanda walked up against the wall, which put him at a very vulnerable position against Xavier University. And once Kitanda was soloed out and taken down, there was no more upfront damage for ADDU. And since they were all stuck in the Baron pit, being red side doing Baron means that their territory was on the other side of the wall. So they had to disperse in a very weird way, while their main frontline Gosu was not present, was just being heckled by the rest of XU, and that actually allowed XU to go for that Baron.
Good methodically played right there by Xavier University, easily taking down the inhibitor. Let's go and check out the
from ADDU. Here they all lock themselves in the Baron pit. Once Kitanda realizes something's wrong, he walks into the CC. And now, because Veritas has caught them between a rock and a hard place, there's not much that Voth can do, because ADDU is also there, so he has to deal with Liberabit's damage up top and ADDU's damage on the bottom. So here it can be, so far, most of XU's victories in the team fights come in the form of a very good CC chain coming from Mazur AJ, being able to get an initiation with Tibbers, allowing Liberabit to go for the flank while ADDU and Veritas go from one direction. So there's just choking ADDU by pincering them between claws.
I just noticed, look at Xavier University's dragons across the board here.
It's Cloud. It's actually
All
very
clouds.
useful. At this point, 3 Cloud Drakes on a composition like this is actually great. They're able to maneuver around the map, rotate around, and do those pincer maneuvers, because that's a lot of movement speed out of combat that they can use to really move around the map here, and they're using it to great. They've been using it to great effect. It's actually quite an invisible bonus to them because you don't really feel it up front, right? Compared to, say, Infernal or Mountain Drake. But here, it's actually been helping them a lot. Look at how fast that Monsieur AJ is. And combined with the Moby Boots, Liberabit as well, they can position where they're just most effectively. And this is because he misplays well the big mistakes that they've been doing. This presents around 6,000 gold lead for Saber versus seeing ADDU's belief from earlier. And that was all mostly because of ADDU's misplays and the XU's good use of the Cloud Drakes.
Interesting though, I'm kind of disappointed that a great push coming in from Xavier University, but could have been better, I feel, especially with Veritas. He has his teleport up. Could have been split pushing towards top.
Could have been split pushing as well, but here, I think because of how volatile the fights can be, like Kang can just go in for a sudden explosive cast. Gosu, if he ruptures someone, is going to go in and gobble them up. Kitanda can charm someone. Someone could get caught in a Feather Storm plus Blade Collar. They don't have the luxury of waiting for around 4 seconds for the teleport to go through.
Voss though
might fall here, but once again,
careful though, Liberabit gonna go into disability mode. I'm out.
Look at the movement speed on that Rengar. Is he going for anyone?
Oh, that's gonna be the stun though onto Kong right there. Liberabit doesn't find the target though, unfortunately. Oh, actually goes on the bat. 1-2 hit right there. Bat taken down in an instant. And this might be the opportunity for Xavier University to get another turret. 4 members of ADDU University gonna try to go for the defense here. Is this going to be good for ADDU? We'll just have to see. Veritas going on to 3 members of ADDU University. No follow-up quite yet, but Monsieur AJ is going to go and get the stun onto 2 members. 2 very squishy members, not to mention Liberabit getting the kill onto Carly. 2 members of ADDU University are down right now along Veritas. But this is going to be the game that they beat. Only 2 members.
This is going to be an ace, likely.
Man, this is going to be sad. Mayor, I'm still quite healthy, though. Gosu and Kitanda, they have to be very, very careful. Another turret is going to be destroyed right there. We're seeing Nexus turret number 2, Admayorum. Look at the damage. Kitanda and Gosu always forced to just back away. And ladies and gents, looks like we may potentially have a winner. Still very heavy death timers happening here. Kitanda almost goes down to Admayorum. Congratulations, Xavier University going to take it into match point 2-1 for Game 3. Wow, that was absolutely insane right there. Just those few small mistakes.
Yeah, those weren't small mistakes, aren't they? Those were huge mistakes with timing the Baron, with the positioning in the Baron, the response to a contesting of Baron. ADDU they had pretty much a grasp of the game. But then they threw what little grasp they had of that, and then threw it straight into the arms of Saber University. I think they could have played a lot of their fights much, much better in their favor, or at least play that Baron very, very better. Because XU, as soon as they got the small lead that they had, that enabled the Rengar, that enabled the Renekton back again. And with 3 Cloud Drakes, that allowed them to have that maneuver where you can just pincher them, crush them between 2 waves of force. And that's what actually carried Saber University to victory. The 3 Cloud Drakes and their realization that, okay, we're not going to win by upfront fighting. We're going to have to use your aid as the initiator. Well, and once the Feathers and the Spirit Rush are out, that's when Liberabit goes in, just them, and then just completely obliterates. Admayorum is just dealing so much damage from afar.
A little bit of a puzzle to Xavier University at the start, but they did manage to figure it out. And then let's go ahead and check out the end stats though. Man, Admayorum, I mean, doesn't seem like much, but then again, they weathered the storm, I'd say. And at the end of the day, Admayorum played a crucial role towards his victory, towards that late game. Well, I couldn't really peg it on him. I think it was really a collaborative effort for Xavier University.
Definitely, and I think that's definitely one of the ways that they can continue. They now have the momentum, 2-1 match point. So if ADDU falters once again, the series ends at Game 4.
Man.
But if they can recover, they can go for a 2-2, and that's going to be a lot of tension and stress for XU.
I don't know, Atlas. We'll just have to see. But of course, that does conclude Game 3 between Xavier University as well as ADDU. But let's go ahead and check out the damage here.
The damage that Admayorum has dealt.
That was crazy right there.
It's actually surprising that that Vath has not done a lot of damage. It's because I guess it's because most of the team fights he spends his time running away and feather storming.
Indeed.
But still, too bad for ADDU, but they can bounce back from this.
We'll just have to see. We're at match point right now. Will Xavier University be the champions of the Mindanao Conference? We'll just have to see as we head into the next game later on. But for the meantime, we've been your casters. Arctic at Service Fam. This has been Atlas. Garena Local Collegiate League at Q Service Fam. Of course, powered by Lenovo. Challenge what you know. We'll be right back. Like there's a fight happening. Admayorm actually goes down earlier on. Monitor AJ trying to silence, gets knocked up. Here comes Rarebit trying to for the battle going on to Carly, but no, isn't able to take not just yet that kill on Rarebit. That's going to be 3 key members of Xavier.
It's going to be a bear.
Baron already drift together. Kitanda takes the kill onto Baron, but looks like Admayorm, look at that.
Might
This free hitting.
And
this will be 2 members of ADDU University down. Make that 3. Dragas and Ari, the only surviving members. This will be the shove. Ooh, that's going to be a fight right here. Baron going on to Carly, but you have to take note onto your age, and the free hits are real. Nobody dealing with him. Baron gets a double kill. That's 3 members to make that 4 members of ADDU University going down, and that will be the call for Xavier University to take the Baron over the quite yet, but Monter AJ is going to go and get one on 2 very good members, not to mention the Baron getting the kill onto Carly. 2 members of ADDU University out now along with Baron, but is it going to be the game though? It might end be only 2 members. Man, that's going to be so tricky. Admayorm still quite healthy though. Those Kitanda, they have to be very, very careful. Another is going to be destroyed right here. That's Nexus turret number 1. Ari going to take next turret number 2. Admayorm, look at the damage. Kitanda and Gosu always forced to just back away. And ladies and gents, looks like we may potentially have a winner though. Still very heavy death timers happening here. Kitanda almost goes down to Adi. Going to take it into match point 2-1 for game 3. Wow, that was absolutely...
Not enough Garena shells to buy the latest League of Legends skin? On sale now? Get shells anytime, anywhere with your Globe or Touch mobile number. Go to gamer.com.ph and sign up with your mobile number and enter the verification code you will receive via SMS. Log in and choose the game and pin you want. Check out to purchase the pin with your load or through your postpaid account and receive the pin on your phone instantly. Never miss a sale on your favorite League of Legends skins and champions with Gamer.